Hi, welcome back to the Tegiwa Race to Rally series. It's now episode 2 and we're building the car. This episode we're going to be looking at all of the different parts that we mentioned in episode 1 and getting them fitted to the car and then turning the car into a rally car. Okay, so as you can see, the car is pretty much ready. We've obviously fired through it all this week because we are competing this weekend at a time attack event. We've been around Brands Hatch before in the car as a race car. So we want to go there and see the differences of how it handles and how it performs on track. So we'll start this corner. There's various things that are on the car from when it was a race car, and then there's things that have had to be changed or added because it's a rally car. So right back at the back corner you can see mud guards. There's quite a specific ruling about these. They've got to protrude a minimum of 40 mil from the outside width of the tyre. So when you see rally car mud guards and you think they're a bit extreme, that's because that's the rule. And then a maximum of 80 mil off the ground. So we've set these quite low at the moment because the car will be raised for when we go to different types of rally. Then moving on, we've got plastic windows. This again is a requirement for rally in a way. You've either got to have plastic front windows or you've got to have them with a smash resistant sheet on them. So window tinting kind of film but clear. We obviously went with plastic windows to try and save a bit of weight as well as to be safe. The car, because it was already a race car, already had the tow hooks which are needed, and it's got a Tegiwa performance exhaust on it. You can see now we've got number plates on the car. To go rallying, your car has to have a V5 and have an MOT. And then some rallies you need to also have tax. So as you can see, the car's got number plates on it and it's already MOT'd. So that part of the problem's gone away. We've kept the brakes that we had on it from circuit racing. So we've got standard rear discs and calipers, but with uprated PBS pads. And then on the front, we've got the Yellow Speed 30mm big brake kit with the Hawk pads. We've gone slightly soft on the front pad compound because obviously it's never going to get as hot as it used to when it was racing. We've then gone with the Yellow Speed Tarmac Rally 3-way coilovers. The car had premium competition 1-way coilovers on to start with. They were really good for circuit racing. They're the same coilovers that are used on all the Civic Cup cars, and they're so well proven. But the travel is shorter, the stroke is shorter, and the valving is different, as well as the springs are different. So these are visually similar, but drastically different because they need to be able to take a bump. One of my friends said to me yesterday, just be prepared because some of the potholes on some of these tarmac rally events are big enough to hide in. So yeah, when we say tarmac rally, we don't mean race circuits that are perfectly tarmac. Obviously some of it will be that, but other sections will be bits of airfield that are destroyed and various other things. Moving around to the front of the car, we've actually refitted some of the standard fog lights. We used to have scoops in there, but we've refitted the standard fog lights and we've upgraded the bulbs in the standard fog lights and the headlights and main beam to the brightest bulbs that you can get in an OE headlight. We're obviously going to eventually fit a light pod as well, but we haven't got to that yet. From when it was a race car, it already had the electric cut-off and the fire pull cord. They're both requirements for both rally and race, so that was pretty straightforward for us. And then in here, we've actually fitted a larger battery. The battery in the car was a Odyssey PC680. When it was a race car, all the battery was needed for was really to start the engine. We've now gone to a PC1100. We've got quite a lot more power draws, so we thought go with a bigger battery because the car's going to be stop-starting all the time, and then the lights and various other things. We've also fitted some Skunk 2 Ultra One cams because we're not in a controlled power class now. The class that we're in is actually a 2-litre class, but the minimum weight is 850 kilos. So basically we're against cars that are a hell of a lot lighter and with a bit more power. So we fitted those cams, mapped it, and we'll show you the dyno plots. We've got an RRC inlet manifold. We've still kept the Tegiwa intake, but for when we get to do some actual rally stages, we're going to have to shorten the intake so that it's protected from water, because at the moment it's in the wheel arch. We've kept the Tegiwa aluminium radiator because we know they work really well for cooling, and we've got a Tegiwa exhaust manifold which then feeds into a E-marked cat. Part of the requirements for rallying again is that the car passes an MOT, so the cat has to be fully functional and working, whereas in racing there's no kind of spec, it's just got to be a cat. There's also a mandatory requirement of a fuel takeoff. So we've actually started listing this product now, but it's a MSA approved fuel takeoff that we've put in the line feeding the fuel rail. And then finally we've put polybush inserts into all of the mounts so the engine is as solid as it can be and not going to fall out when it hits some big bumps. We've got a Ricky Evans heated screen. Previously the car used a heater box to help demist the windscreen, but they're always a little bit not ideal. And I thought because we're going to be in the water and driving in the winter most of the time, we'll go one of those. So you might be able to see up close, but it's got tiny little heating elements, very much like your rear screen, but a lot thinner so you can hardly see them. And that was another reason that we needed decent power, because you wire each side of the screen with a 40 amp relay. So that's a pretty juicy supply. So even when you turn it on, you see the voltage drop. The alternator loses about 1 volt when that's on. You can see the TRS roof scoop, another product that we sell, and it's absolutely incredible. First time I've used the roof scoop, and driving on the road as a quick road test, the amount of air that comes through the vent is amazing. Inside it's got nice closures and direction adjusters, so that's really good and should help keep us cool when we're out there. Okay, so as you saw in episode 1, we've got a ton of RRS bits. Again, all listed on the website, but the harnesses, these are really nice. I've never actually used these before, but they're like endurance spec harnesses, so they've got a big red puller, so you can easily adjust them. Obviously, you pull the hoop to make them tighter, and then you pull the release to make them looser. So there, I'm amazed with how nice they are and how good value they are. You've then got a handheld fire extinguisher, as well as the plumbed-in one. That's because if you're ever out on a rally and someone else is having a disaster, you can obviously jump out and help them out, whereas with your plumbed-in one, that's not possible. Then also down this side, we've got the co-driver's footplate. That's just so that they can give themselves a bit of support, so their legs aren't kind of bouncing around all over the shop. Then moving over to the middle, we've got the zero noise intercom. This intercom's incredible. It's got full noise cancellation as well as it links into your phone. So basically, when you're not on a stage, you can phone your mum or phone back to the garage, the pit crew to say what you need to do or anything like that, as well as then when you're in the stage mode, all you've got is the very basic function so that you can't do anything wrong. Volume up, volume down for the driver and the co-driver. Another requirement for rallying is that you have a horn that both the co-driver and the driver can press. So we've got a big horn button here. Obviously we'll have a horn on the steering wheel as well eventually, but this one's in the middle so that both people can touch it. Then we've had to add some additional switches. Like I said, the heated screen needs a big supply, so that feeds 2 relays. Then we've got the power for the radio, the power for the spotlights that we haven't quite got yet, and then a power socket because we've got extra USB sockets to be able to charge phones or whatever else. Then we've got an RRS deep dish 350mm steering wheel with the button panel plate, so we're able to put 2 buttons on there for when we need them. The steering wheel feels really good and it's a good size. For rallying, you need a little bit bigger steering wheel than you do for circuit racing. And then we already had in the Tegiwa shift light, which is really bright and good, so you don't even need to be looking down at your dash. You can see that when it's flashing at you and changing colour, which is really useful. We've then got the Tegiwa rear view mirror, 38cm rear view mirror. Obviously, because we went to the heated screen, we couldn't retain the standard mirror, so we've just gone with a cage mount mirror. But it's obviously a wide angle as well, so you can see a lot with that. And then you can see the roof vent here with the adjustment on it. And then also it's got this quite handy little takeoff. Obviously if water goes in, there is a hole at the back of it to stop it parachuting, but we've also put this pipe, a little bit of 8mm silicon vac hose that feeds down and drains outside the car, just in case it does fill with water. We've got the Yellow Speed Racing handbrake. Not used the handbrake yet, so we'll see how that goes, but that's simply plumbed in to the rear line, and yeah, you pull it and it locks the rear brakes is the plan. So I've been told by a few different people that handbraking isn't always the fastest way around a corner. So if you can drive around a corner, that's the best thing to do. But I'm sure it'll be good for a bit of fun anyway. So all of these parts in here are very much rally specific. So you have to carry a warning triangle. It's advised to carry a first aid kit. You have to carry a spill kit, which we've just velcroed into the corner. You have to carry a spare wheel with a wheel brace, which is this OMP very handy tool. It clamps the wheel down and then it doubles up as a wheel brace. And then you have to carry a jack. So we've just reused the standard jack. And obviously our spare wheel will go here. The reason the boot looks a little bit different to normal is because this was an endurance racing car, so there's actually a fuel tank underneath here, but it's all firewalled in, which is what it needs to be for to be compliant for racing and rallying. So one of the differences with roll cages is that you've got to make sure you get the high spec roll cages. So we had a safety devices cage in before that didn't have the X above the driver's seat. Cars, I think, built after 2008 are required to have that X in them. So an EP3, for example, the normal cage we sell is fine, but an FN2, you need to make sure you spec the one with the cross above, which is the one that we stock now because it's kind of better for both anyway. And then also above the X, I've mounted my OK and SOS board. This is another mandatory requirement. Basically, if you break down at the side of the rally, you have to put your OK board out. You have to hold it, because if you don't, if you're doing nothing, then the next guy should stop to check you're OK. And if you put this out, then the next guy has to stop, check what's wrong and what's happened. Then the guy after him has to stop, ask what the message is and what needs to be done, and then he goes on to the next radio point and tells the marshals, and the whole stage gets closed. Obviously, because if you're on a tight, twisty road and cars can't get past, it's essential to do this. And if you do nothing, then potentially people could assume that something severe has happened. So, as you can see, we've gone with Speedline wheels. These are quite a bit heavier than the wheels that were on the car, but obviously with rallying, one of the most essential parts is that they're strong. As I said earlier, the potholes can be massive. These are a Speedline wheel, 17 by 7.5. We've actually mounted our AO52s to them because of the time attack day, and they're the best tyre for circuit racing, but we will be putting on our rally tyres onto these wheels. So as you can see from down here, the yellow speed coilovers almost look the same as the premium competition ones that came off. They're an inverted design, and they've got one adjustment on the very bottom. However, in the engine bay is the canister, which has also got two more adjustments. So we've got rebound adjustment on the bottom of the damper, and then we've got high and low speed compression on the external canister, which is in the engine bay. On the rears, the external canister is mounted to the side of the damper. So basically all three adjustments are underneath. So, as you can see underneath the car, we fitted a few different guards. This one is actually off the shelf from sumpguard.co.uk, and it is a 2mm steel sump guard that just fitted straight on. It was really good. We've got another video about how to fit that. Obviously, it's mainly designed for road cars. However, we think it's going to be good enough for the rallying that we're doing. Potentially we'll have to upgrade it in the future to a thicker one, but for now it's solid, sturdy, it's got the inspection hatches, so that's on there. And then the guys in-house have designed these. These are only 4mm alley, which potentially will need to go thicker at some point, but they're bent and mount onto the chassis rails. So there's three different guards. That one's for the fuel tank, because the fuel tank on these is underneath the driver's and passenger seat. Then we've got a small one here to protect some of the lines, and then another one here to protect other lines and handbrake cables and whatever. So as you can see, the rear dampers, the adjustment is all at the bottom. So yeah, the canister's there with the red knob and the yellow knob next to it. To do the ride height on these, it's done with this high-low adjuster on the spring. So you just wind this cup down and that changes the ride height. You've obviously then got to match the damper length to suit, but the actual main part of the ride height is done there. We already had poly bush inserts in the rear suspension arms. So as you can see, my air filter is very low down. This is in a great place for making power. It was right by a scoop before and it worked really well. However, being so close to the tyre and so low down, for rallying it's obviously going to get wet and horrible, so that's going to need to be changed. All right, well, thank you for watching the episode. The next episode is going to be me going for my bars rally test at Phil Price Rally School, and then taking the car testing at a time attack event at Brands Hatch. So thank you very much for watching, and please like and subscribe our channel.